Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Sophia, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different from my usual vlog and study content. And as a lot of you, including me, have started university, college and school, and something that a lot of you might be struggling on is how do I do well in my university or college exams. As you guys may know, I am currently in my third year of pharmacy school at KTL, and like every other cliche uni journey or sob story, it was not easy to get into third year, and even passing my exams to get into this year was not easy at all. I've always been someone who thrives academically and who seeks a lot of academic validation, and getting anything below 70% or even 60% or an A or B grade in my A-level exams or even my GCSE exams, ever since starting university, I have been so humbled by the grading system, the marking system, and the marks that you do achieve after every coursework and after every exam. And if you're not familiar already with the UK grading system in universities, 40% is what you need to achieve to pass into the next academic year, or is what is equivalent to a pass in your final year of study in university. 50% is equal to a 2-2, 60% is equal to a 2-1, and 70% and anything higher than that is equal to a first class degree. And because of the grading system, a lot of people, including me in uni, only really care about getting the 70% and above. Getting 90%, 80%, it doesn't really matter because it still counts as a first class, whether it's 71% or whether you get 99%. However, in my second year of university, I got nowhere near even 40% in my exams. My second year of pharmacy school, I had 4 modules. Other degrees have more modules, some have 8, 4 split in semester 1 or 4 split into semester 2. However, mine was only 4, so 2 was split in semester 1 and 2 was split into semester 2. However, all 4 exams were at the end in May. For a little bit of context, the first year, because of COVID and lockdown and the restrictions we had around going into university, a lot of our lectures, pretty much all of them, were online. Our coursework was delivered online, lab classes were delivered in person, but the exams were online. And because they were online, they were open book and we could use our notes. So second year was the first time I sat in-person university level exams. So long story short, I come to the May of 2023 where I sat my second year exams, and I sat them. Yeah, of course they were pretty difficult. Our results in at the end of July of 2023, and I failed not 1, not 2, but 3 exams. Yeah, 3 exams. I failed 3 exams, meaning I had to sit 3 exams in August. I had only 1 month to revise for 3 exams, and if I did not pass these exams, I would be kicked off, I would be homeless, I would be on the street with no degree right now. Within that month, I had to change a lot. Now, this brings me on to the next section of the video where I explain what I did wrong, which led me to fail these 3 exams. There was one key reason that I believe that a lot of people in my year who resat, including me, had in common, and this was the fact that we were all behind on lectures. Now, I'm not talking about 1 week behind or even 1 lecture or 2 lectures behind. I'm talking about a couple of weeks or even a few months behind. And because I was very behind on the lecture content, I did not understand the lecture content fully. I was skipping over content that ended up coming in my exams. I didn't even finish my notes, so I was still making my notes while I was studying a week before my actual exams in May, which then meant I did not even have time to do enough proper exam practice, and overall I was just not studying effectively. Now, what did I do differently that got me a 70% average in my recent exams? So I knew I had a month left before my exams, so instead of starting lectures that I had not covered at all, I instead focused on my attention on all of the lectures that I actually covered, and I made sure that I knew each of these lectures and all of the content within these lectures to 100%. To help me do this, and the main reason why I believe I did really well in my recent exams, is that I used the learning objectives as questions, and then I answered them using the lecture content, any extra wider reading, any of the content that I know and any information I know to help me answer that objective. I did this because I knew that the lecture objectives were in the lectures for a reason, and that is because these lecture objectives are essentially what we have to know and can potentially come up as exam questions within the actual exam. For example, a learning objective for my second year could be that you have to able to describe the positive and negative symptoms of schizophrenia. But if I used that objective and turned it into an exam question, it would be something like, differentiate and describe the positive and negative symptoms of schizophrenia and how you can treat them. I am now able to complete this new question that I have just formed from the objective using the actual lecture content, and this would help me not to only test my knowledge, and it would be really, really helpful if that question did end up coming up in my exams. And most of the case, that is what happened. And this is the main thing, to test myself if I actually understood the lecture content and to see if I digested the information from the lecture content that I just watched and from the content that I just read. But this also meant that I had many exam questions from these objectives so that I could use these for practice. Another key thing that I changed is that I made sure I was organized. For example, during the start of this year before exam season, I used to wake up around 11 a.m. or around 12 p.m. It meant that I did not have enough time in the day to complete any of the tasks that I had to do alongside studying for my exams, which meant that I was already behind because of my sleeping schedule. So during this month from July to around mid-August time before my resit exams, I made sure that I was really, really organized. So I woke up every day around 7 a.m, make sure I just did some work in the morning when I'm most awake, went to the gym, went to get some food if I needed to. I just made sure I stayed on top of things, because even though revising for your exams is such an important thing, it's still so important to look after yourself and look after your mental health, because at the end of the day, if you're not mentally or physically well, how will you be able to sit the exams in the first place, even though if you know the content? So my key thing is, if you ever come to the stage where you have to resit or where you have to resit an exam, whether it's a coursework, make sure that you are looking after yourself first, because if yourself's not looked after, how are you going to be able to do anything? The thing that I tried to do was eliminate myself from all of the distractions I had in my life, which was mainly social media. So I would normally spend hours and hours and hours scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, and I still do this. During the period where I had to resit exams, I made sure that my screen time was very much limited and that my phone was not in my sight whilst I was revising, because I knew in the back of my head this time for me was very, very crucial. There were also a lot of revision techniques that I implemented in my revision. The main key two things I feel like a lot of people already know is the Pomodoro technique and the blurting technique. Another really good one that I found online is the Feynman technique. So the Feynman technique is a technique that is used to help you learn and digest content that you need to memorize. So the first key thing in the Feynman technique is that you need to pick a concept that you want to learn. The second thing that you need to do is teach it to yourself, or you need to teach it to someone else. Now, whilst you are either teaching yourself that content, or if you are teaching another person that content, and if you are finding it difficult to either teach that content or even to remember that content, go back to the concepts that you were learning. The last key thing or the last key tip in the Feynman technique is to simplify your analogies and to simplify the concepts that you are teaching. This is very, very effective, because in this process you are teaching someone else that content, which is a form of testing yourself if you know that knowledge. You're also creating simple analogies and simple concept, which will help you memorize the concept that you just learned. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but I feel like it is something really helpful and it helped me, so let me know if that does work for you. Now, what will I do moving on forward into my degree or in any further education? Because I'm in my third year of pharmacy school and I only have 1 year left, I'm trying to make a more conscious effort to attend all of my lectures in person so that I'm not behind on actually watching the lectures. And I'm also trying to make a more conscious effort to attend all of my classes, all of the tutorials, workshops, and any mandatory classes, so that I would have the lecturers or the professors available if I do need any help, or even if I need a clarification on a certain topic. And another key thing that I will do moving forward is that making my revision resources, I feel like everyone always says this, but I really do need to implement this, because I do not want exam season to come around again. I have no revision resources for me to have or for me to study from. But another thing that I'm also trying to do that is sort of outside of the studying realm is to still see my friends, still do things that I like to do, whether that's video editing, video recording, going out with my friends, going to the gym, getting food, cooking food, because I do need to keep my mental health like at a good level, because otherwise I'm gonna go crazy, and I do not need to be more crazy than I already am. And that is because as much as it is really, really important to stay on top of your work academically, it's still really important not to neglect other parts of your life, because that is what makes you who you are. So that is how I went from failing my exams, from getting 25% overall in my second year exam to getting 70% average on all of the exams I had to resit. And if you found this video very helpful, please let me know. If any of you are interested in seeing any other videos like this, whether it's on tips on how to enter pharmacy school, on how I got into pharmacy school, on how I revise, on how I take notes, anything, please let me know down in the comments, because I do check every comment, I do reply to every comment. So I hope you liked this video, I hope you found it informative, and make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.